Greetings, everybody. Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to Frost and Fire. So, before I get started, let me cover some of the YouTube comment feedback I received. One is from Alexander, and he mentions that, I kind of screwed up setting up walls between the autocannons. And as you can see, as a result of this, the doors that I have built are going to be rendered useless. I'm going to want to fix this so that if there is a case where one of these autocannon explodes, they don't chain react all down the line. So that's going to be fairly important. The other one is from Travis. Travis mentions that my bait beacon really ought to be moved to somewhere like here. The reason being, the time it takes to move items that drop here to the stockpile or anywhere else is a lot longer than moving from here to here. Additionally, if enemies were to drop here, they would have to continue all the way into the trickle feeder maze and so on, giving me even more time to react. So I like that, and I will be setting that up accordingly. That is going to require me to change some of the priorities for the beacons, but that's fine. I'll explain the priority of the beacon in a minute. But first, let's get the trap set up. I'm just going to use sandstone. It's really not a big deal what material it is. And there we go. Oh, and one other thing, one other important thing, we can't have a roof over it, much the way we couldn't have a roof over there, or it won't work properly. So the doors over here, I am going to... I'm going to set up these plasteel doors. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will work. But unfortunately, having built it incorrectly, it does burn up a little bit of plasteel. So, the bait beacons. The order that pod drop raiders, and I had mentioned this in the past, but I just want to remind people, the order that pod drop raiders will drop on a beacon, if they do target the beacon at all, is they target the oldest beacon that was installed, that has a spot unroofed next to it. It is also unroofed. And that's sort of the long and short of it. So when I reinstall this beacon, I have to make sure that the install order is correct. So not a big deal, but yeah, somewhat important, I suppose. All that you really need to know is that you need an unroofed beacon with an adjacent unroofed cell. And it picks the first one in the install order. A shoot frenzy for JD. That's great. We have had really phenomenal moods across the community for a time now, so I'm actually surprised we haven't had more inspirations. So the reason why, once I move this beacon, I will want to move this beacon over here. This will be the oldest installed beacon, which is fine because it's normally roofed. That way I can trigger the pod drop raiders, the pod drop raiders to drop on this beacon normally, and then when this is unroofed, I can trigger trades coming here. That way you can have trades coming in one spot and then the raiders coming in another. That's sort of the details there. However, with patch 1.3 on the horizon, there's a fair possibility that this behavior changes. I'm not going to say for certain. All right, another thing I'm going to do is set this up here to be part of the avoid zone. The pikemen can't quite reach there, and I don't think standing out here will trigger enemies to mess with me. So we're going to want to move the beacons and sort of fix the kill box chain explosion problems that we're having. right. Oh, yeah, this pikeman definitely was lured to us. It's fine. It's fine. It's not perfect. Doesn't need to be. So here are the walls that were supposed to separate out the autocannon turrets so they wouldn't chain explode. And I'm going to have Bash forced to deconstruct a whole lot of stuff, because deconstruct priorities are the lowest. So if he breaks this stuff down, it means that the project gets completed more quickly. At least that's the hope. Yeah, that's coming together pretty quick. And then here we go. We have the new bait beacon all set up. The doors are getting reconstructed. And hey, we're actually using the table. That may be the first time ever. Supplies for something. Oh, Intergrain Warhead and Heal Mix Serum? Oh dear. Well, let's take a look at A, what it's asking, and B, if I can reliably bring the supplies to them, i.e., are they within pod range? So it was for these rebel farmers, so I can definitely get there via pod. And the quest wants 15 corsets, which I was already making. And as you can see, I have planted a whole bunch of cotton, so this is perfect. Absolutely, I will go for some anti-grain. So currently, I have only one corset. And what I'm going to do here is to unsuspend the make corsets forever. And we are going to accept for anti-grain warheads. The Heal Mix Serum sounds really, really amazing, but I would rather have a strong offense than a strong defense. Especially going into the, the reactor raids. Speaking of which, if I am headed to the reactor raids, it would serve me well to actually research Starship Reactor. So that is something that I'm going to have Raptor do probably even before he finishes neural computation. I'm not likely to care about neural computation. So let's continue our research. We already have 106 out of 6,000. And that also should keep Raptor very, very happy, as he loves the research, burning passion for it. And he hasn't been able to do it in quite some time. Okay, so Phoenix here, fortunately, has a... Wait, what beacon is that? Did we just build a copy beacon? Fortunately, he has a shield belt, protecting him from the pikemen that come curious, as will Bash. So we'll be fine. It's kind of annoying that they're shooting at me, but that's what they do. I'm curious, do they have vision problems? Yeah, the right sight sensor is broken. I was wondering why it was shooting and missing so wildly. And that would explain it. All right. Raptor can use Silver Drop. There is really no reason to wait. So we'll kick it off immediate. All right, Mr. Raptor here. You are going to be prioritizing research, which also means that you could go back into your normal royal clothing, as you will be staying indoors more than traveling around or anything like that. So I am not sure why you haven't put on Prestige Recon armor. But whatever. You'll get to it, I'm sure. A little strange. So we are up to 7,500 steel. I'm definitely going to want more. So I think what I'm going to do is expand the reload stockpiles a little bit. Because when I'm reloading in a pinch, having a ton of steel over here and not where I actually need it is not that helpful. So I am going to dramatically, as you can see, increase the amount of resource stocks that I have here. And that way we have a place to put the steel. I'm also contemplating setting up a lot of, well, we have a ton of spike traps, I suppose. But additional plasteel mini turrets would be probably a pretty good idea as well. So we'll be doing that shortly. Definitely curious if Randy sends more attacks to me. I suppose I'm prepared either way. And then taking a look at the nutrient paste meals, we have space for about 2 stacks. We also have space for some meat to be. We have a little bit of space up here as well. But it doesn't necessarily mean I need to consume that. And Storbeck has the lovely job of just hauling an immense amount of steel. Another thing I might want to do is if enemies do make it through the kill box, because I am going to err on the side of, rather than having my turrets be destroyed, allowing them to proceed to the base, I do have this side door that I suppose I could leave open. And then if I ever need to stop them, I can close this door. They'll be forced through all of these deadfall traps. And I do have some spare deadfall traps sitting in my stockpile here, ready to go. So I guess that's good. And Gabe and Leth are just continuing to deep drill for steel. I had mentioned that I think approximately 15,000 steel would be my target, so I'm about halfway there. Which is exactly why I have Raptor push it. Oh, here we go. Exactly why I have Raptor pushing ahead with the research, because I am going to need it. And Raptor and Storbeck now can call trooper squads. And let's go ahead and line up our shooters, because we're going to have some bugs to deal with. Mr. Raptor, now that he's in armor, won't be able to stay outside very long due to the temperature. And then we're going to want Hippie to berserk some of the larger spiders, just to make it a little bit easier on the brawlers. And with any luck, looks like that Spellipede is going to take out the light instead of actually helping his dying brethren, because that makes total sense. Phoenix gets nibbled, very slightly nibbled, and then we're all set. It is very straightforward for our crew to annihilate bugs at this point. They're not dangerous at all. Now, the trick is what to do with the resources that they drop, because that's a whole different matter. And let's not force this door open. For some reason, I'm going to have Bash to clean up. I have no idea why. And now we'll have even more insect meat, or foul meat rather, to deal with. Next person that goes for a meal gets to make some NPM. Wow, these extra stockpiles are filling up very, very quickly. I think what I'll do is expand that out even more, keeping another 300 steel or 600 steel out that way. Because we're going to need a place to put it. And I want it to be somewhere productive. All right, Cauterize is full train on Hall, but it's far too cold for him to ever venture out. All right. I think for avoid zones, now that the beacon has been moved, we really don't need to stand there anymore. I doubt that I would get so unlucky that the pikeman would get some sort of like fatal shot first try, but best not test it. Okay, obviously the next person eating a simple meal was not the one that did NPM. I looked away. But now I'll sit here and troll whoever it is next. I thought it was going to be Hippie. It is not. Sorry, JD. There we go. I suppose I never really explained why it has to be the next person getting a meal, but it's due to the fact that if they're not hungry, you can't really tell them to go to the nutrient paste dispenser. So it does require someone to be hungry in order to operate it. And that is why I set it up so that it's next person going for a meal. Probably 99% of you knew that, but I figured I'd mention. I figured I'd explain. All right, so we do have this corset quest. The frightening building will be done in 8 days. And then the corset quest, I have 27 days to do. And we are starting to get the cotton harvest going. I have, or cloth, we've got 150. Yeah, that's enough for a few corsets. And it's going to be pretty easy to fulfill this request. But what I'm going to do anyway, just so I know we're done, is this will be due until we have 15 corsets of normal quality or better. And that will be an indicator that we're ready to fulfill the trade request. The other thing I'm going to need to do, and because I broke this down a little while back, is to set up the antigrain Warhead stash zone. So we had a totally stone insulated room where we put the antigrain Warhead. If I was really paranoid that one of my colonists would punch the Warhead in a fit of tantrum or anger or whatever, I would probably put a wooden door here instead. That might not even be a terrible idea. Wood is flammable, but it's really easy to break down. Or just entirely wall it in with stone. However, a non-builder wouldn't be able to destroy that in a pinch. The sort of idea is most of the time when you need an antigrain Warhead stat, you probably need to, you might not have time to fiddle around. Alternatively, if we wanted to waste, it's not so much a waste, but if we wanted to spend some additional steel, I could put it in a transport pod to stash it away. So maybe I do the transport pod and just keep it right next to the mortars. The only risk of that is if somehow like the shells in here get shelled. If my shells get shelled, the antigrains will likely not survive either because they aren't behind steel walls. So with that in mind, let's set it up this way, where we remove the roof here and build a pod separate, but next to it, like this. And that way, if the shells inside the sort of mortar bunker area, whatever you want to call this, goes off somehow, the antigrain is probably likely to survive. Now, the other kicker here is set fuel to 1. Phoenix, just refuel it to 1. Speaking of a fire, that was a little... So the reason why 1 fuel... 1 fuel would allow me to send this pod anywhere on this map tile. So if I needed to air deliver antigrain warhead shells for some reason, I could do that, and it would be very easy to do. So that's sort of like how I like to store dangerous things. It's exactly why we're storing the 5 Doomsday launchers in the same way with a single 1 fuel. But the reason why I have the shells over here is obviously because if we ever want to mortar stuff, the shells need to be near the mortar. Another thing that I just realized is I don't think I have these mortars rearmed. So let me fill them up so that we can fire them more quickly. Because generally, if you have to mortar something in a hurry, spending an hour to reload them is an hour not well spent. So our steel is now up. We have not yet hauled 800 of it, so it's about mid 8,000s. Interesting. We are using the foul meat for training. That works. That's a lot of spare. That's 1,000 spare foul meat. The other thing that I could do with this foul meat, because I don't think I am going to be able to use it all before summer, is let's just turn it all into chem fuel, because then I can reinvest in a ton more mortar shells. I had and am intending to employ a whole lot of explosive IEDs. I can add explosive IEDs in this area here, where there's really no damage to my defenses that can be done. But obviously there's a lot of good that can be done in terms of destroying enemies efficiently. I do have some IED traps set up here, but additional explosive IEDs really would be quite helpful. All right, this whole steel node is getting tapped out. I can move it over here, or yeah, over here might be the easiest because it's already behind walls. Because here I would have to dig out overhead mountain. Here is a little revealed. It'd be easy to warm it because it's right next to a geyser, but it's a little exposed. These sessile trees are going to get cut down so they can't provide cover to enemies. I gotta say, so far it's pretty smooth. Not a whole lot of threats. Just a lot of stocking up and redesign. So these sets of defenses are a little bit hardier now. Let's go ahead and hook up 12 more plasteel mini turrets. Yes, I am expecting quite a fight. I know this uses up a whole bunch of the steel that I'm trying to stockpile, but I think this is a very valid use of it. Taking a look at my components, I'm actually whittling them down, despite the fact that I can get like 100 components every time I go on some sort of world quest. We have wore down our components, not to the point where I want to mine out compacted machinery, but it might be a good... Once we finish off the corset quest, it might be wise to... Oh, man. It might be wise to have JD make some more. So Phoenix, Gabe, Raptor, and Leth now have mechanites, which is unfortunate. These Mechanites, of course, make us more dangerous in the field, but it will ruin our mood a little bit as well. So it's just important that we doctor tend really as fast as we can, so that no one is resting, waiting to be tended to. But it will make Phoenix be able to plant all the faster. So I'm sort of curious what our movement speed is with these Mechanites now. Probably something ridiculous. Like Raptor, you move at 8.37. Oh my goodness. That is truly ridiculous. But only in a good way. Now, the only problem with storing backup turrets like this is, obviously, I set them up so that they could easily chain explode, which is dumb. So let me fix that. I'll probably have to install dead power for it. But clearly you wouldn't want a bunch of backup turrets that can, one, explode and domino effect all the others. And then I think what I'll do is this steel turret is going to get moved. I'm just going to put it, I don't know, here. Another thing that I meant to do and am still doing is filling in this mountain a little bit so it's not targeted by sappers. And then I'm going to use some of these turrets over here in the chance or the case that that I have enemies come through here. I just have a bunch of turrets shooting at them. And then obviously I can move these turrets into the kill box if need be. So these all should be hooked up to dead power. There we go. So now they can't chain together and damage one another. And then these bottom row are going to need live power. There is a... I'm going to redesign this just a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4... I'll just move them all the way back. They're still easily within firing range. All right, and then this cable here is likely to be severed, so I will just move this whole cable up. It's likely to be severed because if these turrets explode, they'll take this power cable out. And then the power conduit here will run like that. And then these turrets here, this row, if they explode, they can't take out that cable. And then these guys can fire up. It encumbers this way, or down, it encumbers that way. So they're sort of multi-purposed, I suppose. And then we're going to do a multi-purpose on the other side. So what is this? 9. So 9. And then these 3 go here. For better or for worse. It's kind of slapdash, but it's just the way it is. So 1, 2, 3. Let's run power behind it. And that way, yeah, we can have turrets firing pretty much in every direction. You know, if any enemies breach through here, there are layers and layers and layers of backup turrets. Now, turrets don't benefit from cover, but I'm moving them back so they can't chain together. All right, that looks good. That's a whole bunch of extra defenses, and they're actually being used and utilized rather than just like sitting here. And a solar flare. Solar flares obviously would be a lot more annoying in the summer with the food rotting. Interestingly enough, my fermenting barrels weren't even full. I guess they had just brewed something, which is convenient, I suppose. But I did have the make wort paused, so I'm going to start making wort. And unfortunately, yeah, my potato plants and stuff like that are just going to die. I'm not planning on trying to keep anything heated during the solar flare. We'll just let things die off. Setting up a whole bunch of fires to try to save, like, you know, a few potato plants is just not worth it. Now, the other problem is, Raptor here is getting dreadfully hypothermic, so I'm going to send him into the geothermal generator. Oh, never mind. Power just came back on. So it should be temperate in the base momentarily. But yeah, we still have this geothermal generator zone, which can get up to 145 Fahrenheit, I just saw. So that keeps us from freezing to death. Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to take a break from steel jeep drilling because there is definitely a clear benefit of having a whole bunch of jade for statues so that Hippie can, you know, make trade goods. Because as we're coming out of winter, I'm likely going to want to try to bring in some more caravans. I'm also going to switch where the live power is for these turrets, because if these turrets explode, they take out their own power cables. So I'm going to switch live power to the other one. And then this here will become, then we'll need dead power for the autocannons, but that's easy to do. Steel's up at almost 9K. Which is weird. Why are they not... Oh, wow. They finished. I was like, why are they not mining the jade? Yeah, that explains it. They completed the jade in a blink. Which is ridiculous. Okay. Changing. There we go. That's a bit more secure and better set up. Sometimes it just takes me a minute to be thoughtful about the best approach. Or the most secure approach. What? So Hippie and JD, who are siblings, are, well, I guess, yeah, siblings fight. Little unfortunate that they might become rivals. Also, Hippie bit JD's eye. I'm not sure if... I don't know. That seems ridiculous. I don't think eyes should be able to be targeted during a... I mean, okay, punching, sure, I get it. Black eye, yes, that makes sense. But biting? The simple physics of it. Unless your eye somehow dramatically protrudes out of your face, like you're some sort of weird bug-eyed demon, it would be very difficult to try to bite someone's eye. That, and it's just gross. Just very, very gross. So we've got a massive array of backup mini turrets. A part of me even wants to put another layer back there. And, well... I don't think I will. It's not absolutely necessary. So, all that's really left for us to do is to push towards the reactor and get that fired up. Which means that Raptor here is going to need to do his research. Oh, a bulk goods trader. That could be very helpful. So they have some animals. They have meat, but I think I'm actually pretty good on meat. I am indeed pretty low on nutrimine, so I'll buy some. I've got a good amount of leather. Now, there is flake that exists on the map tile. One of the Reapers dropped it. And it might be a good idea for me to try to grab that flake and sell it now. Because there is a off chance, a small chance, that one of my people tries to binge and they walk out there to get the flake. That would be very dangerous to walk to, as it is easily within the Reaper shooting area. The corsets are actually ready to go, which is exciting. And is there anything else here that I cannot pass up? Let me double check and make sure. So I'll likely haul that flake over. They have an Eltex robe, but since the Eltex robes don't protect you really at all from the elements, as much as I'd like to wear one, we would freeze trying to do it. Nope, that seems about it. So Raptor's inspiration trade just got used up. And now I'm going to send Hippie over here to skip the flake somewhere safe. Okay, or walk that way. And it looks like I'm actually just going to drop the flake like that. Raptor, come back. And, oh, Gabe, why'd you do that? Fine. I will install a new beacon over here, because Gabe just needed to be a little go-getter and move the flake. Apparently, it's telling me that I'm in poor health. I somehow don't really believe that. So let's see here. I wanted to sell the flake. They still have money to be able to cover the costs. I'm going to sell my spare hops and jade and smoke leaf. I will also sell the cloth because I can just grow more. Chocolate might not be a terrible purchase, but I feel like I'll pass on that. It's not likely to be a make or break. We're like, oh, I would have survived if only I had chocolate. Like said no one ever. Okay, we're good. And let's roof that up so it does not become the target. Now, I did get a lot more chem fuel, and for some reason or another, we're storing chem fuel in the trade stockpile, which seems like a terrible idea, and I'm glad I noticed that. So let's take the chem fuel out, because that is a good way to lose all of your trade goods in a blink of an eye. All right, well, that's better. We have all the corsets we need. I'm going to keep making them, but Raptor here has transport shuttle, so let's go ahead and deliver it. I'm going to need to give Raptor slightly warmer clothing so it doesn't become hypothermic during the trade. Oh, but nope. Wrong again. There's a combat supplier. I am getting real lucky with these traders. Gotta remove the roof, or my trade goes out to my bait beacon. And that's why I remove the roof. If I trade without removing the roof, my trade goods will drop here instead. All right, combat supplier. I do have 3 bows for you. And that might be it. What do you have for me? Really nothing. No doomsday launchers, no triple launchers, no unique weapons, nothing special. So I sell some bows, which is rather underwhelming. Okay, well, here we go. We are going to send Raptor and some corsets. I probably should have timed this better not to send him at midnight, as that's not going to be good for his mood. It's too bad you can't just say pause, you know, just pause the loading. There's only a cancel or resume or continue. There's nothing in between. All right, and the last course should be hauled in now. Okay, launch. Visit Transcroasabo, whatever, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know how to speak whatever language that was originally in. Okay. Fulfill trade order. Done. Then, on top of that, I'm going to take a look at trades, because there's the possibility of sending stuff here to sell to them while I'm here. So we have, of course, the anti-grain warheads, and we'll also have the Prestige Marine Helmet. Taking a look at what they have. They have blocks, but I don't really care. So I am going to transport shuttle home. And I would like, if possible, to... let's load the anti... I can't even spell anti. The anti-grain warheads here. And then Raptor, I'm going to have you try to sell the Prestige helmet to the combat supplier before they leave, because I don't need it and I don't mind the silver. So there, I didn't unroof anything, and as you can see, it went here as a result. Quest is completed, and the anti-grain warheads are now safe and sound in that transport pod, ready to either be kicked out of here to be put into steel mortars, or I don't know, turned into IEDs or something. Most excellent. My steel amount is about 10k. There's not so much steel left here. So what I think I'm going to start to do is to get ready for this to be an area that I mine. And for that, I will need to bring power down here, which is fine because this only increases the flammability. Because having power cables down here is just yet one more thing that could set fire. Let's see if I set up the mining zone correctly. I did, more or less. And then just in case of, you know, I'm going to wall up this area out of an abundance of caution. Also, it allows me to heat it up. And a concert. Storbeck's putting on a concert, and I will end the episode here. If you have any feedback for me, tips, tricks, anything that you might think I'll find useful, especially considering I'm heading into the reactor raids, feel free to drop me a line in the comments below. Thank you so very much for watching. I will catch you next episode. Farewell, everybody.